Last year, the Big 12 Conference had West Virginia finishing in the middle of the pack and Baylor finishing on top. The Big 12 only consists of 10 teams and not 12. The finish was Oklahoma State in the regular season, then Baylor, who won the conference title game, then Oklahoma, Iowa State, Kansas State, West Virginia, Texas, TCU, Texas Tech, and Kansas. Traditionally, the Oklahomas and the Texases are expected to be the powerhouses of the Big 12. They weren't last year, and this year they may not be again. There are at least 4 teams, including West Virginia, Kansas State, Iowa State, and TCU, that may compete. So the Big 12 is wide open. And the Mountaineers have a tough schedule, playing 2 Power 5 teams out of conference early in the season. For those breakdowns, Terry, why don't you tell us?
Well, we can start off the season. This is going to give you our predictions and the preview of this season. We start off the season with the renewal of the Backyard Brawl, September the 1st at Pittsburgh.
The forces of darkness and evil.
First time we played them since 2011. Last year they were really good. They won the ACC championship, but they lost a quarterback who got drafted by the NFL. And they lost their Bolitnikoff winning wide receiver who transferred to USC.
Both very, very good players. Plus, they lost their offensive coordinator and their wide receivers coach. So we don't know what they're like this year.
ESPN Game Day is going to be there. It's a big game. It's a Thursday night. It's going to be exciting. I think we win this game. I think we're better than them on the line of scrimmage.
The powers that be, however, give Pitt the edge, suggesting we only have a 21.9% chance of upsetting Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
We come back the next week on the 10th and play at home, our home opener against the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas was really good towards the end of the year. I don't know, really good, but they were better towards the end of the year. Their last 3 games, they beat Texas. They only lost to TCU by 3, and they only lost to us by 6 points. We beat them out there. Lance Leopold's going into his 2nd season. I think he's going to have that team in the right direction. But we outman them. In our home opener, I can't see us losing to Kansas. I think we win this game.
He's a pretty good coach, and I think Kansas is showing signs of life. Even though the conventional wisdom is they finish last, we still are predicted to have an 86.4% chance of beating Kansas at home.
We come back the week after, the 17th, that we play the Towson Tigers. They only won 4 games last year. They did play JMU in that. Which they lost 56-10 to a team that's in their same level of competition. We outman them. That'll be easy. We'll beat that team. We'll get a lot of subs to play and a lot of backups.
They're not very good. The last time they played West Virginia, we beat them 54-0 in front of 56,000 fans. And our chances of winning that game, according to the experts, are 94%.
Shouldn't be much of a contest. Then comes a fun one. The 22nd is a Thursday night. We go down to Blacksburg and play Virginia Tech. They were 6-7 last year is what they finished up. They lost up in Morgantown 27-21. We beat them. We were ahead 24-7 at the half, but a lot of people remember that game being close because we screwed around in the second half, let them come back and took a goal line stand to win. It's tough to win the game down in Blacksburg. Especially on a Thursday night. They do have a new head coach, Brent Pride, who played at Buffalo. He was a graduate assistant at Tech, but he's also been the defensive coordinator at Penn State for 7 years, since 2014. First-year coach, tough game. This is going to determine what our season is going to be, but I think we win that game.
The Mountaineers hold a 29-23-1 edge in the record. The Black Diamond Trophy is up for grabs between the 2 teams, but our chances of winning are only 56%, so it's considered a toss-up by the experts.
Then we go down to Texas. On October the 1st, we played down there. Last year, Texas was 5-7. They played at West Virginia. It was a game we went to. If you remember, we won that game, 31-23. It was their last game of a 6-game losing streak. The next week, they ended up winning and beating Kansas State, which was very interesting. So Sarkisian is their coach. He's an offensive-minded coach. He's got Bijan Robinson, probably the best runner not only in our conference, but maybe in the nation. And he's got this guy, Quinn Ewers, who's come from Ohio State. He hasn't played it down, but he is supposedly really good. They
The
did.
conventional wisdom and I disagree on this one. Mountaineers actually hold a 4-2 edge in Austin, Texas, and Texas didn't win enough to go to a bowl game last year. But the conventional wisdom is in Texas, Texas is going to beat us, and they only give us an 11% chance of upsetting them.
We go in there 4-0, which what I've predicted so far, and we go into Texas. I think we lose that game. But it's a toss-up. It's going to be a close one. Then we come back home on the 13th, and we play another Thursday night game. We play 3 Thursday night games this year. This one's at Baylor, and it's in Morgantown on Thursday night. Baylor was the conference champ last year. Baylor was really good. They had a breakthrough year. They won the Sugar Bowl. They beat Ole Miss. They only lost 2 games last year. Oklahoma State during the regular season. TCU, which I still don't understand how they lost that game, but give Dave Aranda, their head coach, a lot of credit. He did a really good job with them. However, their quarterback has left. He transferred, but they've got a really good offensive line. They got a really good defensive line. One thing that'll help us is they play Oklahoma State the week before us.
The Mountaineers are 5-0 when playing in Morgantown against Baylor, and we're 4-2, 4 out of 6 of the last 6 games. Yet the conventional wisdom is Baylor is going to beat us in Morgantown. We only have a 37% chance of beating them.
I think we get this game on Thursday night in national TV. I think it's a big breakthrough win. I think it's something that brings a lot of attention to our program when we beat Baylor until the next week when on the 22nd of October we go and play at Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. Last year they beat Iowa State. They only had a 3-point loss to Baylor, and they beat us in Morgantown 23-20. Neil Brown hasn't beaten them since he's been here. I love Neil Brown, but he hasn't beaten Texas Tech since he's come to Morgantown. They got a new head coach, Joey McGuire, who was an assistant at Baylor. I think we lose this game down at Texas Tech.
Texas Tech has been a thorn in our side. On paper, we should be the better team, but the conventional wisdom says we only have a 32% chance of winning, and that's in Texas.
Next week we play on the 29th in Morgantown. We play the TCU Horned Frogs. They were 5-7 last year. We played down there and beat them 29-17 at their place. They got a new head coach. They went away from a defensive-oriented coach, and they brought in an offensive-oriented coach who was across town coaching at SMU before. I don't think they're going to be really good. They're changing their defense. Their offense, they're going to be all about offense. I think we win this game pretty easy.
Well, because we're in Morgantown, the experts say we have a 52% chance of beating them. I agree with you. I think TCU is probably overrated, and I think we beat them easily.
Well, then we got to go out to Iowa State, and that's on November the 5th, the Cyclones. Last year they were 7-6. We ended up beating them in Morgantown last year. They were predicted to be as one of the best teams in the conference. Brock Purdy, Brees Hall, Xavier Robinson is back. Charlie Kolar is gone. They were really good. They're going to be a different, completely looking big team than what we saw last year. But out at Iowa State in Ames, Iowa, I think we lose that game.
I think the edge has to go to Iowa State, but the conventional wisdom is that we only have a 25% chance of upsetting them. I think Iowa State is still being rated too high based upon the reputation of that coach. He's a good coach.
He is a good coach, Matt Campbell. I tend to agree with you, but I think we can get this one. I think we can. It's a toss-up. It's one of those ones that's right there, but I don't think we do. Then we come back home. We play on the 12th of November, Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Sooners. Last year was a heartbreaker out there. We lost that game by 3 points on that last second field goal.
Led the whole game or tied the whole game.
A couple of mistakes or we win this game. Just little things that we win that game. But we didn't. We didn't get it done. Their coach is gone. Both of their quarterbacks is gone. Brand new head coach, Brent Venables, who's never been a head coach before. He's been a defensive coordinator. They've got lots and lots of talent. Can this guy bring it together? We just heard the other day about a problem with one of his assistants that he had to let go. In Morgantown, I think we win this game.
It's a matter of whether their heads together or not. They have better players traditionally than we do. They're predicted to give us only a 27% chance of being able to beat them, even though they're in Morgantown. But West Virginia's beat Oklahoma in the past. Neil Brown's Oklahoma game last year would have been the Mountaineers, but for a play or two. I think it's closer than that.
It's funny because, you know, we have beaten them in the bowl games, but we've not beaten them since we've been in the Big 12.
Not in the Big 12.
That's a thorn in our side. We almost had it last year. I think that would have been a signature win had we won that game.
And they're coming to Morgantown. Maybe the last time they play in Morgantown since they're getting ready to flee to the SEC.
Exactly. And we got Texas last year, and we beat them in Morgantown. So I think maybe that we follow suit and we beat Oklahoma. We get our first win over them while we're a conference member. This is my opinion. The 19th in Morgantown, the Kansas State Wildcats come to town. Last year, they were a pretty good team. They were 8-5, and one of the few games that we really didn't play very well. They beat us 34-17 in that game. Their offense last year was like 9th out of the 10 teams in the Big 12. So they really don't have what I call a really great offense. They got a really good player in Deuce Vaughn. Running back is very good. Little short guy, but he's really good. They got a transfer, and Adrian Martinez, the quarterback, came from Nebraska. We'll see how that turns out.
Kansas State, West Virginia has been a streaky team. They won 5 straight against us, and now we've won the last 5 until this last game where they dominated us 34-17. Although, because it's in Morgantown, the conventional wisdom is we have a slight edge, a 51% chance of upsetting them.
They won their bowl game. They beat LSU in their bowl game last year. They lost a lot of people on their defense, and that's something that they're known for.
A lot of people think they're a wild card to compete for the Big 12 championship this year. We just don't know.
I think in Morgantown we win this game. I think we get our 8th win, and I think we win that game in Morgantown. And then on the 26th of November, right near Thanksgiving, we go out and play the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And they were 12-2 last year. They lost to Baylor in the championship game, was one of their losses. They lost to Iowa State during the regular season. They went to a bowl game, beat Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. They were really good, but they've lost a lot of people. They've got a really good quarterback coming back, Spencer Sanders, but they've got holes on their defensive line. They've lost 6 out of their 8 top tacklers on their defense, and their defensive coordinator left to go to Ohio State. There's only one back in the secondary. There's a rebuilding year, but Gundy's a really good coach. I don't see us winning out there.
I'm always afraid of Oklahoma State. They always have a solid team. Conventional wisdom says we only have a 17% chance of upsetting them out in Oklahoma, and I have to agree the edge has to go to them. In summary, I think we're only going to be favored. West Virginia's only going to be favored in 5 games. By the slimmest of margins, we're favored to beat Kansas State and TCU, about 52%. Against Virginia Tech, we're favored 56%. And only in the Kansas and the Towson games are we expected to have gimmies. Everything else is going to be close. The next closest is we have a 38% chance of upsetting Baylor, a 32% chance of upsetting Texas Tech, and less than 25% chance of beating Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas, or Pitt. I think they're wrong, but we'll give you more.
I'll tell you my final analysis. I give us solid wins: Kansas, Towson, and TCU. I think those are solid wins. Toss-up wins, I have 5, which I think are going to be close, but we win, and that's Pitt, Tech, Baylor, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. Toss-up losses: Texas, Texas Tech, and Iowa State. All of them on the road. I think a solid loss, pretty solid, is Oklahoma State. I've got us at 8-4. Tell us what you think.
This is a toss-up season with a toss-up conference. A lot of new quarterbacks, a lot of new coaches. As we see the first game or two, we'll see how people play, and we'll give you some updates week by week.
Let's go Mountaineers.